Good morning, everybody. Well, what a beautiful day today. This morning, it's around 15, 16 degrees Celsius to start off the morning. The sun has just poked above the horizon. It's about, maybe 10 to 6, maybe 6 o'clock now in the morning. And absolutely beautiful. Blue sky, golden sunshine, all the trees in full bloom, all the flowers in full bloom. Man, it is June, I believe it's June the 12th today. Gary here, Gary Clayton Photography. Welcome to my channel. So hey, today we're starting off with quite a climb up the Niagara Escarpment here in Ontario. It promises to be exciting. It promises to be interesting. Definitely challenging today. Two particular areas I'd like to photograph. One, not too far from here, is a barn. It's going to be a challenging shot. We're going to be shooting the barn as we look directly into the sun. That's going to take a little bit of thought. From there, we're going to progress to the top of the escarpment, where we're going to find an absolutely beautiful rapid running creek called Silver Creek. We photographed both locations before. We're going to do them again today. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since we photographed these locations. Man, life doesn't get any better. Photography, early morning. Let's get to it. Okay, so we're making our way along the side of a farm field. Now, the direction that we want to shoot in to begin with this morning is right here. And as you can see, we are pointing directly into bright sunshine. So I'm making my way around the farm field, maybe trying to get to the other side and see if we can get ourselves a slightly different composition that may work a little better for us this morning. We'll see what we can do with that. Just around this big tree, there's a couple of trees here. There's a group of wild turkeys. I don't know if they're going to stay there, and I don't know if we're even going to see them on the GoPro. But there's a group of wild turkeys. They look like all female turkeys to me. And, I think they've already just taken off. Oh no, I see them. But they're making a run for it across the field. Not sure if you can see them. Probably not. They're actually hard to see, especially with the sunshine. Okay, just a thought. Now, I don't know at all if working our way around this farm field is going to give us a composition. We could be making this effort for absolutely nothing. However, unless we at least try, we really won't know. It is beautiful out here though, that's for sure. Well, let's just keep moving around, see what we can come up with. Oh, there's those turkeys again. If you see them just running away. There's a whole bunch of those turkeys. Just going around the bend a little bit there. Oh, right ahead of us. The wild turkeys. So as we continue making our way around the field, it's actually not looking good from this particular position. We can see the roof now of the barn that we wanted to photograph. But there's kind of a tall wheat field between us and the barn. I don't want to get any closer to the barn. I just don't think we're going to be in a good position. We want to be further away. However, if we look at what's to our right and behind us again, it dips down, which is just totally removing the barn out of the frame, out of the image, out of the view. So that is not going to work. But let's just see. It's just really not working at all. So, yeah, as I'd mentioned, sometimes you do this work for nothing. Even though it's only been a few minutes maybe on the video, we've spent almost 45 minutes, I'd say, kind of working our way around this farm property, trying to come up with the composition that kind of works, especially with the light this morning. And it's just not happening right now. Well, okay, so first of all, an example of more times than not, when you come out for a landscape shoot in any location really, but more times than not, you come away with nothing at all. And on this particular location right now, at this particular time, that indeed is the case. I can get closer, but I don't want to get closer. Oh well. The good news is we have another location to photograph this morning. Again, the Silver Creek. And more good news, we're actually going to come back down that country lane on our way back to where we parked earlier this morning. And as always, as every moment in time goes by, the light totally changes. So by the time we get back here, the light will have completely changed. The sun will be in a totally different position. And who knows, maybe we'll get the opportunity then to capture our image of the barn this morning. Yeah. Well, because that would be just too challenging to try to capture that. It's so brightly backlit that it's just, well, very difficult anyhow. Okay, so be it. We're gonna work our way from the farmer's field back to that country lane and continue climbing up the escarpment. It's about 1,000 feet elevation gain, and it's going to bring us to just under 2,000 feet above sea level once we get to the top of the escarpment. It's a beautiful location, as I keep saying. Okay, let's go. Well, very much a climb heading up the escarpment here, that is for sure. That 1,000 feet, you work for every step today. Getting much warmer now. Temperatures jumped probably around 20 degrees Celsius now. So it's getting warm very quickly. In the last hour, it's jumped up, 5 or 6 degrees Celsius, 10 or 12 degrees Fahrenheit. But we're reaching the summit. We're almost there. We're going to make a left turn, and we're going to head into the forest. And the forest trail, part of the Bruce Trail here in Ontario, our Blue Mountain section, will take us to the creek that we wish to photograph this morning. So yeah, everything's going well. The hike goes well. I know this particular hill well. I do a lot of my hiking training on this hill with a full pack and off you go kind of thing. By the way, for those of you that do not know, I do have a second channel, Trail Named Jasper. Check it out. So yeah, my channel, Trail Named Jasper, it's all about hiking, long distance hiking, through hiking, with photography thrown in there, of course. After all, that's what we do. And I find hiking goes hand in hand with landscape photography. So yeah, Trail Named Jasper, do check out my channel, or my second channel, and see what you think to that. Okay, we are now within the forest. Take a look at the trail ahead of us. Beautiful, beautiful forest trail in the trees. Absolutely beautiful. As you may know, if you're a subscriber and a regular follower to my channel, you know, as a photographer, I don't particularly like just bright blue skies. I find them plain, boring, they have no character. And unless I'm going for a walk on the beach or something like that, then I really don't have a use for them as a photographer. But today, this part of the day anyhow, being embedded in the forest, totally different. We've got a certain brightness going on, of course, but the light is so diffused, blocked, dappled, if you will, and that can make for some character, some interest, especially when we make it to the creek. We have not had rain, by the way, here for 3 or 4 weeks now. So I'm thinking, even though the creek itself is fed by quite a large lake, the levels of water in that particular lake are lower too. And we might not have as much water as I would like running down that creek today. But we're going to find out soon enough as we get closer and closer to the creek itself. Okay, just kind of a little update there of everything that's going on. And let's just keep going here. So as we get closer and closer to the creek, the river, we start to think a little bit about the settings that we might be kind of, well, thinking about anyhow this morning. It's a bright day, but it's dark and well shaded in the forest. There are dapples of sunlight coming through. Could be spots of glare on the water. We think about the settings and the tools we may need today to capture the image that we're looking for. A polarizer maybe to help with glare, if that's an issue. An ND filter of some kind, of some strength, to help slow things down a little bit. Now you'll know, again, if you watch my channel on a regular basis, I don't like to slow things down too much insofar as just making a body of water look like a bowl of milk. I just don't like that. But what I have found over the years, somewhere between 1 to 2.5 seconds, somewhere in that area, generally speaking, depending on the depth and the movement of water, gives me the kind of image that I'm looking for. As far as the shutter speed is concerned, we think about those things. Well, a little bit of running water right here to cross. Just a little creek as it kind of passes, crosses the trail. Beautiful little country spot. A few times I've seen otter playing along here, but not today. Oh, we have a hiker coming through. Good morning.
How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Okay.
It's all good. So yeah, as you can see, the trail itself very popular with hikers, especially on a perfect day like today. But we're more interested in the photography this morning, capturing the image that we kind of have painted, if you will, in our mind. I think most photographers, a lot of photographers probably do that. They're probably thinking about, you know what, I am going to a particular location. This is what I'm kind of thinking. This is what I'm hoping for. This is what I'm looking at as far as an end result image is concerned. And as I mentioned earlier, looking at that barn this morning, quite often it just doesn't work out at all. But of course we have hopes of what the end kind of image might look like. And as always, we're always searching for that perfect image that, in all truthfulness, I personally hope I never find, because what do I look for after that? So yeah, okay, still got a little ways to go. But yeah, so just thinking about those settings again, a slower shutter speed. We're going to achieve that with the use of ND filter. A polarizer will reduce things by as much as 2 stops, maybe even more in certain cases. Although that's usually under optimum conditions. However, the aperture, we're looking at probably a smaller aperture this morning. So that would, keep in mind, give us a larger f-stop number. I find with my Fujifilm lenses and also the Canon lenses that I did shoot with when I shot with Canon, between f8 and f11 seems to be their sweet spots as far as value for the dollar, bang for the buck, clarity, lack of distortion and so on. You just really seem to find the quality comes through between f8 and f11. And that's probably, by the way, where the photographer's saying of f8 and be there comes from. f8 for your aperture setting, and make sure you're there. Either way, you won't capture the image if you're not there. And f8, well, it's just the aperture to choose. So f8 and be there, if you haven't heard that before. Okay, getting closer and closer as we make our way along the trail. Okay, we can start to hear the rushing water of the Silver Creek. Closer and closer. Sounds like there's quite a bit of water running through there. Again, as I'd mentioned, it is fed by quite a large lake. Ooh. Yeah. Silver Creek. Take a look this one. Wow. Looking good. Okay, so this is, well, it's the first, I guess, but originally it was the second location to shoot this morning. We'll take a look at that barn on the way back and so on, depending on time and where the light and the sun is at when we get there. But now we're here, and this is the scene we want to concentrate on this morning. And we have 2 approaches to the creek. There's a little side trail, if you will, just down here that runs down to the bank. I photographed them there before. And of course the same on the other side. I've also noticed one gentleman, an Asian gentleman, Ron his name was, and he was photographing from over here. He found a location through here and he incorporated the footbridge in his image. Hey, maybe we should give that a try to start with this morning. Okay, let's get out some gear, get out the tripod, get out our Fujifilm X-T2 mirrorless camera. Let's get set up and let's start to look at a composition. Okay, we're set up on the tripod. Again, as I mentioned, we're using the Fujifilm X-T2. I have my 18 to 55mm XF Fujifilm lens. No filters whatsoever right now. And I have a 2-second timer set. I've incorporated the bridge. As we can see right here, the little footbridge. Right in the middle, I have a small growth, a small bush, the beginning of a small tree, a sapling. Hey, I don't know if that's a composition or not. 2-second timer. First shot of the day. It's in the bag. You know what? I cannot for the life of me decide if I like this tree, this sapling right here in the center, or even in the image. This little guy right here. I just cannot decide if I like him or if I do not. Maybe I should think about a rule of third and try to put him to the left, to the right. Or maybe on one of my vertical third lines. Let's have a look. Let's just recompose and see what that looks like. Okay, recomposed. We have the sapling, the small tree on the left vertical third line. We have a focal length of 25mm, an ISO of 100. It's giving me at f8. Again, f8 my sweet spot, f8 and be there. It's giving me a shutter speed of 2 seconds. No filters whatsoever. Of course, shooting in RAW. 2-second timer. Hey, second image of the day. Lots going on. Lots of chaos, if you will. We're going to change locations a little bit to the left. Can't go too much to the right. We're definitely going to go forward. Do we even want to incorporate that footbridge in the image? Don't know. But in the words of the great British photographer Mike Brown, love his work, let's try it and see. It's the only way we will know. I'm also going to lower the tripod a little bit. That will change my perspective to that footbridge. Might make things more interesting. Let's give that a try. Okay, much lower. We're about 2.5 feet lower on the tripod. So we've reduced the height of the tripod by 1 section length and the center section. So we're about 2 feet, 2.5 feet lower than we were. Everything else pretty much the same, of course. Focal length, 25mm, ISO 100, f8, 2-second timer, 2-second shutter speed, no filters. My 4th shot of the day. Now, one thing that's super interesting, wrong one. I have preset buttons and I can't remember exactly where I put things at certain times. But with Fujifilm, you can select the type of film you want to use. Provia standard. Let's take a shot. It gives you suggestions. Velvia, we've already done that. Astia. Let's give Astia a shot. Interesting. Hey, classic chrome. Why not? Let's give it a shot. Acros, black and white. Give it a shot. Again, like Mike Brown says, try it. If you don't, you won't know what you got. Sepia, not really. So you know what? I'm going to go back to Velvia, which is vivid, which I kind of like. And of course, you can adjust any of these adjustments in Lightroom, of course. Okay. Quite a bit of playing around there. That's one of the things I love about the Fujifilm, is the ability to change what was traditionally Fuji's claim to fame, which was their film. And today, in their modern digital cameras, you can still select what made Fujifilm famous. and that is their film. So you can still select that simulated film, which I love. I really do. Okay, let's look for another composition. Let's move around. Let's see what else we can find here. Okay, so for our next composition, we've actually placed ourselves right on the center of the bridge. Now, first of all, when you're doing something like that, make sure the bridge does not have legs that run down and come in contact with the water. That will cause vibration. People walking, like I am right now, on the bridge will cause vibration. I am low to the bridge. I have a 2-second timer. I've also applied my polarizer. Just to take a look at what we're seeing in that screen now. Again, ISO 100 f8, still a 2-second timer. Sorry, still a 2-second shutter speed. However, we've also changed slightly the exposure that we want to achieve. Take a look at the richness of that particular image. Now, let us just tone down even more, 1/3 of a second. A little underexposed, and that's fine. A little over, so let's go to about 1 1/3 stop over. 2-second timer. Another image. Wow. Interesting. It's nice to move around. It's nice to experiment. And see what we can actually find. What compositions. I just wanted to move my camera off the bridge just in case somebody came down here. Just a few moments ago, a couple of trail runners came through, so I had to kind of move out of their way, of course. Yeah. Right in this tree here. Right here, I have my GoPro 8 Black shooting a time lapse, just a time lapse of the actual creek itself. Nothing really of interest, but again, I just thought, seeing I was here, I would set up for that and do that. It didn't really take me any time to do it. It's always interesting to see what you get with a time lapse. If we get anything out that, we'll throw that up right now and have a look at it. If we don't get anything out of it, we're just going to move right along here. Okay. Unfortunately, except for those wild turkeys, I haven't seen any wildlife as of yet. Few birds. Speaking of wildlife, I'm going to mention to you an English photographer, but later on the way back. I can't remember to do that. I want you to check out his channel. It's very interesting. Okay. I think at this point we're going to pack up from here. We're going to start to head back. And we're going to look at that barn on the way back and see how the light has changed there. See if there's something we can work with there. So a photographer that I like to watch on YouTube, Scott Tilley. Now Scott's an English photographer, and I found Scott's channel, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years ago, and since then I've watched it grow. I'm going to assume that back then he was starting out relatively fresh, and I've watched him grow as a landscape photographer, and today as a wildlife photographer. I've watched his kind of evolution, if you will, watch him evolve, and I just really enjoy watching Scott's channel. It's Scott Tilley, his name is. Do check out his channel. Maybe even consider subscribing. Jump over there and have a look. YouTube creators, photographers, whoever they are, whatever it is they're doing, spend a lot of time and a lot of work building their channel and building an audience. And the bigger the audience, the better it is for the growth of the channel. So we all work hard at that. So do go over there, take a look. Scott Tilley Photography, check him out. He's doing some wonderful wildlife shots. He lives in England, beautiful countryside. Take a look. Okay, we are back now out of the forest and on that country lane. The only difference is this time we're descending that 1,000 feet rather than ascending the 1,000 feet. It's clouding over, which is actually nice. It's showing some character as the sky. What's the barn going to look like when we get there? Don't know, but we're going to get there soon. Maybe 20, 30 minutes from here. Maybe a bit more, 40 minutes from here. So we're going to take a look at that barn as we go by, because it's a beautiful location. Anyhow, yeah, everything is going well. So glad to be out this morning. Glad you're joining me this morning. Really looking forward to editing those images of the Silver Creek that we've captured. Really looking forward to that. I love that type of stuff. I just love the country streams and rivers. Also the barns, of course. But I love those things. They can make such beautiful, intimate images hung on a person's wall. Yeah. Anyhow, let's keep going. And let's see how the morning continues to unfold and progress. Beautiful down here. Just take a look. Wow. Beautiful country lane surrounded by tall trees, hardwoods, maples, so on. Yeah, beautiful. Back in the farmer's field. Arriving back at the location we wanted to photograph first this morning. Let's just take a little look ahead of us here. The barn, the row of trees to the right, and just take a look at that sky up there. Wow. Sun, it's about 90 degrees to the lens. So we just got to keep that in mind. But you know what? We can actually tuck in to the shade here too. Maybe about here. You know what? This might be an excellent location to set up. Well, let's try it from here and see. Okay. Let's set up right here. Get the camera on the tripod. Let's see what we're looking at. Okay, we're set up on the tripod. And this is what we're looking at. Now, let me just see here. We're on manual focus and we have focused on the barn. What the camera tells me is correctly exposed. Keep in mind, the row of trees are dark, the barn is dark, compared to the super bright sky above and behind. So let's take a shot of what the camera tells me is correctly exposed. Now, let's take another shot, just for the heck of it, at one stop under. That's really going to give me some character and detail in the sky. Now let's go to, wrong way, let's go to one stop over. This is going to start to brighten the sky, but it's also going to start to brighten the trees and the barn. Let's go to 2 stops over. Now, lots of that sky now, unless it's the grey cloud itself, is now blown out. But we have a lot of light on the trees and on the barn. Now we're going to have to do a little bit of photo merging to create the correctly exposed image for the darkness of the trees in the barn and the brightness of the sky. Beautiful. We have a focal length for this particular shot of 55mm. ISO 100 f8 1/320th of a second at, let me see, 2 stops over. But what my camera tells me is correctly exposed is 1/1250th of a second. Now, that was interesting. Very much a learning experience, especially when you're working with light, because that's exactly what we're doing. But here we've got so much contrasting light. We've got again, the darkness inside, the shadow inside the trees in the barn, and the super bright sky just above and beyond. Lots to think about. But what we don't have, because it's to the right now, is that bright, bright, bright sky. Sorry, the bright sunshine. The tree that we're looking at right now, it protected my lens, along with the lens hood, from flare, sun flare, across the lens. Lots of little things to think about when we're setting up for a landscape image. You know what? I'm glad we did that. We're going to have a cup of coffee. We're going to head back to the studio, have a cup of coffee, edit these images and see what we've got. Let's sit down, let's look at these images together. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll talk to you next time. Gary Clayton Photography. Bye-bye.